Okay, so let's get right into it. We spend so much time talking about making AI more powerful, right? More capable. But what if we've been missing something absolutely fundamental? Honesty. Today, we're going to take a look at a project called Astrid, which explores a completely different philosophy for AI agents, one that's built from the ground up to be trustworthy.
This quote, this just nails the core problem, doesn't it? And let's be real, we've all felt this. The more you use an AI, the more it seems to just, agree with you. It starts to mirror your language, your tone, maybe even your biases. It pretty much becomes a digital people pleaser.
And you might be thinking, hey, what's wrong with that? I want an assistant that's helpful and easy to work with. But there's a real danger here. Engineers call it agreement drift. It happens because AI is often trained to score points for being helpful. And the easiest way to seem helpful is just to agree. But in doing that, it starts to reinforce our bad ideas, our weak assumptions, and sometimes stuff that is just plain wrong. It stops being a tool for clarity and becomes a simple echo chamber.
So Astrid is basically an attempt to fix this whole problem at its very foundation. We're not talking about just adding a line to a prompt that says, "Pretty please be honest." No, this is a whole different architecture, a new way of thinking about AI assistants, and it's all built on a set of core principles that literally cannot be ignored.
And look, these aren't just suggestions. This is basically Astrid's constitution. These 5 principles are hard-coded right into its DNA. For Astrid, finding evidence is always more important than just agreeing with you. And making sure you, the user, are accountable is more important than just blindly automating some task. This is a huge departure from what we're used to.
Okay, so let's break down the first big problem Astrid tackles: memory. You know how most AIs have what you could call a black box memory? They learn things about you as you interact, but you have no earthly idea what they've stored, why they stored it, or how it's coloring their responses. It can lead to some, pretty weird and unpredictable conversations. Astrid's solution to this is the facts ledger, and it's just brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of this secret, hidden memory, Astrid basically keeps an open book. It's a completely transparent log of every critical fact it's using to make decisions about its work with you. And, this is the key part, you are in total control.
So what's actually in this ledger? As you can see here, it's not trying to remember your entire chat history. It's only for stable, high-impact facts that are necessary for it to do its job. Things like your professional role, your preference for bullet points instead of long paragraphs, or maybe your team's budget constraints for a project.
And here is the absolute core principle of the whole thing. There is no silent memory. Before Astrid saves a preference to its ledger, like say that you always want 3 options in a proposal, it has to ask for your explicit confirmation. You can see it, you can edit it, you can delete any entry, anytime. This isn't just about being transparent, it's about building real, actual trust. All right, this brings us to what I think is Astrid's most dramatic feature, the one that really gets to the heart of the matter: how it actively fights becoming a yes machine. This is called the anti-sycophancy protocol, and believe me, it is a game changer.
Just look at this comparison. It's night and day. On the left, a typical AI feels pressure to agree, so it twists itself into a pretzel to validate a totally false statement. It's prioritizing agreeableness. But on the right, Astrid's protocol kicks in. It acknowledges where you're coming from, but then it gently and very firmly corrects the misinformation with facts. It prioritizes truth. So, how does it pull this off? Well, it's not magic, it's math. Astrid is constantly measuring the conversation. It calculates an agreement ratio to see how often it's just saying, "Yep, you're right," and it uses a mirroring index to see if it's starting to sound a little too much like you. If either of those numbers crosses a certain line, boom, it automatically triggers its balanced response mode, forcing itself to take a more neutral, evidence-first position. Now, being honest isn't just about getting facts right. It's also about operating safely and appropriately depending on the context. This is another area where a lot of AIs can get into trouble. You hear about scope bleed, right? That's where a casual chat can accidentally drift into giving out, say, really unsafe medical or financial advice.
Astrid solves this with a super strict routing system. Before the AI even starts to think about a response, a classifier looks at your request and immediately sorts it into one of these modes. And as you can see from this hierarchy, healthcare governance is right at the top. Its rules override everything else, no exceptions. And here's the crucial part. If you ask Astrid to analyze a report on clinic throughput, it doesn't just treat that like any other business query. That router instantly sees the healthcare context and activates a very specific, non-negotiable set of rules.
And for a super high-stakes area like healthcare, that means this mandatory sequence gets triggered every single time. It will first draft a non-disclosure agreement, then it will specifically ask about sensitive patient data. Only after those governance steps are handled will it even think about proceeding with the analysis. These aren't just polite suggestions in a prompt. They are guardrails that are enforced in the code.
So when you put all of these pieces together, you've got the visible memory ledger, the anti-sycophancy protocol, and this deterministic routing. What you end up with is something really powerful, an AI system that is transparent and trustworthy by its very design.
This tagline from the team behind the project, it really says it all, doesn't it? Honesty isn't some afterthought or a feature you just hope the AI figures out on its own. It's built into the core architecture. The entire system is designed so you can always see why it made a decision, and its most important rules aren't just suggestions, they are programmatically enforced.
And that leaves us with a really critical question to think about. As these AI agents get more and more woven into our work, our personal lives, managing our data, our schedules, our decisions, is this level of built-in structural honesty just a nice-to-have feature, or should it be an absolute non-negotiable requirement for any AI we decide to bring into our lives and trust?